Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Awards Watch Oscar podcast. I'm your host, Eric Anderson. It is Saturday, December 12th, and boy, has the Oscar season really kicked off. I've got with me two Gold Rush Gang members. I have Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Chris is coming to us from across the pond, so I'm really bad at math, so I think that means it's like 4 in the morning or 7 in the morning, or I really don't know. And then we also have Jason. Hello, Jason.
Hey.
Okay, so much to talk about, so much. So this was the crazy panic week of the Screen Actors Guild nominations and the Golden Globe Award nominations, as well as little regional critics awards around the country. And just when we thought that the year could be a little more unpredictable and a little crazier, everything just went batshit crazy this week. And I think the thing that we can talk about first off in these Screen Actors Guild and Golden Globe nomination surprises was the strength of Trumbo from Bleecker Street Films. Because essentially it was a film that nobody had on their radar. I mean, a little bit, but it was always in the lower end of a top 10 possibilities or in long shots for both Bryan Cranston and Helen Mirren, who both got nominations at the SAGs and the Golden Globes. So I am going to throw to you guys. Chris, I'll ask you first as the resident UK resident. What the heck happened? How did this happen? That Helen Mirren, Trumbo, Bryan Cranston just blew a huge hole in the Oscar race.
I'll have no idea, but I guess we start off sort of acknowledging, okay, Cranston's a respected TV actor, he could probably get SAG. Mm-hmm. Mirren's just loved by SAG, she was probably going to show up there. And then it got Ensemble, they both showed up at the Globes. Like, I guess we underestimated how much Hollywood love movies about themselves, pretty much.
I think you might be on to something there, and it's funny because they never really used to like that, but as of late, it seems like they're really going that direction. And in retrospect, when you do look at, the TV element of SAG voting, even though the nominating committee is just a random 2,000 people, Bryan Cranston's done very well. Helen Mirren's a 10-time nominee and 5-time winner. She just won last year. So in retrospect, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But Jason, I'm wondering, is this a flash in the pan of the moment set of nominations, like Hitchcock or something was for Mirren? Or is this something that's going to have some legs?
It feels like SAG is very ignorant of what all the pundits have been pushing for the race right now, versus AMPAS, which we know kind of reads all the Hollywood trades and the pundits, and it just proves how much SAG is in love with showbiz movies in general. And I just feel like Trumbo, for example, was a very hot screener because you have Bryan Cranston and Helen Mirren, and they watched it, and it's pretty easy, I guess, to digest. It's very a digestible film in general, and there are a lot of late-breaking films, and Trumbo benefited from that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe John Goodman is the secret weapon. We need to keep looking at John Goodman whatever he's got, because that fucker. I'm just gonna go right to his IMDb page for next year's SAG Cast in a Motion Picture. And speaking of, this was probably the strangest thing overall in the SAG nominations this week. And that was the Cast in a Motion Picture nominations were Beasts of a No Nation for three people, by the way.
Yeah.
The Big Short, which most of us predicted pretty easily. Spotlight, very easily predictable. Straight Outta Compton, which got a lot of very late-breaking prediction support here, like in the last couple of days. And then Trumbo, which had, I think, one person of everybody on Awards Watch predicted that happening.
Oh my God.
So this is by far one of the strangest lineups in, I think, the history of the SAGs. This is what like the SAGs used to look like in their first couple of years of doing this, when they were kind of just stretching their legs, because essentially we only have one Best Picture front runner in this entire group with Spotlight. There's no Carol, there's no Room, there's no Brooklyn, there's no The Martian, which was a huge snub that day. It didn't get anything. Matt Damon didn't even get in. And I'm just kind of baffled. I'm so confused, and I really think it's because the race this year has been so strange, and there hasn't been just 5 easy choices that everyone can just kind of jump onto. And as we talk about the Golden Globes later, that is very, very evident.
What this most reminds me of is the 2007 race with No Country for Old Men, 3:10 to Yuma, American Gangster, Hairspray, and Into the Wild, where we only ended up getting 2 of those at DGA, and the rest were kind of more ensemble-heavy films that SAG fell for. And I feel like something similar is going to happen here, where only 2 of the contenders that made ensemble are going to make DGA as well, which I think will be Spotlight and The Big Short, which is just breaking at the perfect time.
Yeah, it's having some pretty robust box office this weekend for sure. And I know that you're pretty bullish on it. I am too, to a certain extent. I don't think it's going to be that big, but it is Paramount's like main push.
Yeah,
in multiple categories.
Also, reviews are just way better than we thought they'd be. Like,
they're pretty good. They're pretty
it's
good.
universally acclaimed right now on Metacritic.
Yes, until somebody sends an email and then it goes back down to generally good reviews.
I just have no way of explaining that Beast of No Nation nomination. I think that's the main
it makes
story
sense. Then they offered like 3 months of free Netflix to all committee members.
To everybody. I got one as well.
Yeah, so it just shows how reliant SAG is on screeners.
It is really smart. It's also, because of the in-hand screener issue, it's already there. It's already on their television. The ease of watching it is there. It definitely overcame the content, and for anyone that thought that it might be too violent or was too squeamish for it, it overcame that quite easily. Something that's interesting is, being that both Beasts and Straight Outta Compton made it in, is the the whiteness of the Oscars that keeps getting thrown its way almost every year, unless there's some movie that can throw it off. And that was looking this way this year as well. In the summertime, Beast was kind of a favorite to get in a lot of categories, and then it went away a little bit. Its box office, what it was very minimal, but then Netflix very unusually revealed some viewership numbers for this, and clearly it was the reason why. And they said that about 3 million people had watched some part or all of it, and that was a pretty big number, and clearly had some impact. The Straight Outta Compton thing, still, I don't know. It's populist, which is great.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's only got one relatively known actor in it, so I don't know. It's so strange.
I'm just wondering if they are mounting this seriously heavy campaign, Netflix, that we're actually underestimating it entirely. They go in at SAG with 3 actors.
It's like unprecedented.
Everyone was saying, "I'll see you in my dreams" and Grandma were the first screeners out, but it was really Beasts of No Nation in October.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And then I feel like Trumbo, if it was actually a great movie, that would have won. You just have to make a decent showbiz film, and he'll get nominations across the board. I think we should watch out for it. It might show up at PGA, WGA with all the disqualifications, and it's just gonna gather a lot of buzz.
Yeah, that's been the thing that I think now we have seen is a little bit of these regional critics that are looking at the Screen Actors Guild and Golden Globes like they do every year and go, oh, cool, so let's do that too. And there's a little bit too much of that. It's kind of frustrating. Before we jump over to the Globes, though, there's just so much more still to talk about with the Screen Actors Guild. So let's obviously talk about the other surprise nominations, or maybe not so surprise in retrospect again. And that's going to be in the female actor in a leading role category, where we had the expected three of Cate Blanchett and Carol Brie Larson in Room, and Saoirse Ronan in Brooklyn. And then we had Helen Mirren again show up for Woman in Gold from the Weinstein Company, and talk about a blast from the past. It was a movie that got decent box office, mediocre reviews, and was out, like 6 months ago. And I know there are some pundits that had been trumpeting it. I think Pete Hammond especially was, from Deadline, for a really long time. And I kind of pooed on that for a while. And so, hey, I have a little bit of scrambled egg on my face for that. But again, she's a huge SAG favorite. But then came along Sarah Silverman in I Smile Back, which kind of felt like it was feels like now like a Jennifer Aniston in Cake nomination.
She's been working it.
But she has been working it, yes. Yeah. Multiple festivals and festival awards, and yeah, it just kind of hit, but
Broad Green, they really made an impact.
They did. This has been a really good year for the new indies. The Sony Pictures classics and the Fox Searchlights and the Focus Features, which were, the rebuttal to the studios for the last 15 years, kind of are taking a back seat. And now there's A24 and Broad Green and Bleecker Street and Netflix that are saying, you know what, we're the new kids in town and we're going to play this game just as good as you can. And they did. So, and Open Road too, also, obviously, because they have Spotlight. So it's crazy. It's crazy that Silverman is in. I mean, I think this is just a one-shot deal. I don't see her anywhere near the Oscars for this, but it could be enough, to get her.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Higher in the conversation.
Choice.
Yeah.
If she makes Critics' Choice, then people will begin to take her a little more seriously.
Sure, absolutely. I had her in for a short time in October, but it didn't seem like anything was happening for her at that point. But the other Broad Green Pictures nominee at the Screen Actors Guild was goddamn Michael Shannon.
Just pulls off these random nominations, like Revolutionary Road came out of nowhere at the Academy, right?
Yep, that he came into that Oscar nomination with absolutely zero precursor support or critic support or anything at all. And Shannon got this nomination for 99 Homes in supporting at Screen Actors Guild just on the heels of his LA Film Critics win, which was a nice surprise for most everybody that was watching that. So he clearly becomes a major contender in a category that has, for my bank, is going to be the hardest category to predict.
It's like you think he's like a fluke at SAG, But no, the Globes nominate him.
Yeah, no, he's not a fluke at this point.
Yeah, he's like seriously, like yeah, he's for sure top 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's top 5 in a category that has 8, 9 top 5s.
Yeah,
because when we look at the men that made it into this category, and I'll go ahead and name them off. It was Christian Bale in The Big Short, even though he's lead in the Globes. Idris Elba, Beasts of No Nation. Mark Rylance, Bridge of Spies, who just won New York the same week that Shannon won, or the week before that Shannon won L.A., Michael Shannon, and then Jacob Tremblay from Room. And that leaves out, quite conspicuously, both Michael Keaton and Mark Ruffalo from Spotlight. And obviously we need to talk a little bit about this, because the decision by Open Roads Films to push everybody in the movie supporting seemed like a good idea at the time, I'm sure, to not step on anybody's toes, and because it's a true ensemble, yada yada. But clearly it's hurting. It's hurting with awards bodies like this. So do you guys think there is any chance, or is it way too late, to pivot and maybe push Michael Keaton for lead, like he won? What did he win? L.A. He won, or is it New York? Yeah, he won.
And
L.A.
Ruffalo was runner-up as well.
And Ruffalo was runner-up. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to salvage this, because if they keep them all in supporting, I don't think they've got a chance of getting any of them in.
wasn't the original plan to push Ruffalo lead?
I think we just made that up.
I think we did. I think we did because he's got 2 Beatty scenes and he's full of tics and screamy yelliness. And Keaton is, pretty subtle and subdued. But Keaton's the only one that actually has a semblance of an arc in the movie. So that should be enough to qualify him as a lead. And especially in a year like this, which should be called Category Fraud the Movie. It's the worst and craziest I've ever seen in my entire experience in watching Oscar stuff.
Yeah. Like, if they can't get in at SAG, where they just list a 1 to 5, or at the Globes, where there's only like 40 members, I don't know how either of them get in with a preferential ballot.
Yeah, I don't either. And especially when you've got a category like this that is so damn stacked. Because you could almost fill a top 5 of the actors that didn't get in.
Yeah.
It's that crazy. I mean, that's obviously a little bit of an exaggeration, but you've got Benicio del Toro, you have Tom Hardy in The Revenant, Sylvester Stallone. Who else missed that was major? That's kind of probably the big one.
Paul Dano.
And Paul Dano. Oh, yeah. And again, there's another good example of somebody that's suffering from possibly being in the wrong category. And a great example of the reason that's has happened for him is that the San Francisco Film Critics this week nominated him in both lead and supporting for the same movie in the same role.
Could that happen at Critics' Choice? Like anyone too?
I don't think it can happen at Critics' Choice. I'm not actually sure. I don't want to say for sure.
Like tomorrow we might. I mean, not tomorrow. The day after. We'll just see Rooney Mara and Vikander both categories. Just like
that would be pretty funny.
Yeah,
that would be hilarious. But I mean, that was such a great example of the level of confusion and craziness that's going on with the categories this year. But that Paul Dano got enough votes to qualify for both is bananas. It's crazy. I don't get it. But yeah, that's a good pick. He definitely is somebody that could have made it in here. So yeah, you could make almost.
He made it at the Globes, right? So
yeah, but you could almost make another top 5 at SAG of likelies, and that's why this year is so much fun and so awesome and crazy. is that I defy anyone to be able to pick the right 5. And if you do, awesome and good for you. But it's going to be messy because major contenders are going to miss out.
I have no idea who wins either.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah, I have no idea who's going to win this at SAG.
I'm leaning toward not SAG, but the Oscar in general. Could Tremblay pull an Anna Paquin? Comes out of nowhere just because her film's really beloved. Because Paquin didn't win anything before her Oscar.
Yeah, but that was pre-SAG, so
yeah.
I could see Tremblay just missing.
Missing entirely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can I.
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to.
He's the strongest reviews for a child actor in years.
It is. I mean, certainly the best since Haley Joel Osment. The movie's also gonna, do very well, and that kid's been everywhere, and he's just sweet and cute and funny. So I don't really see him missing.
I just feel like this is the ideal field for him because there's only 2 contenders that are tied to Best Picture, and Bale is not winning for sure.
Yeah.
And Tremblay is phenomenal. And I don't know. I feel like the Academy might have a soft spot for him.
Yeah, and I feel like Rylance is being made out to be the front runner, but it just seems like no one cares about the film, and the campaign just doesn't seem to be there either.
Yeah, there's another film that missed, cast in a motion picture at SAG, and clearly Rylance is the only horse that this movie has now. And he's been expected to ride a nice wave of nominations through the season, which he is. But is it a passionately supported performance, or is it just kind of being checked off? I don't know. And of course, we have to ask, because especially with a category like this, who's going to come in with Globe and SAG support and then miss out on an Oscar nomination, because it's happening more and more as each year goes by. And then once we include, BFCA and BAFTA, that's happening too. It's happening every single year. I mean, it could happen to Helen Mirren again. Except for the fact of that second nomination. Because apparently, in the 22 or 21 now, actually, his years of the Screen Actors Guild, nobody has ever been able to get 2 nominations in the film category and have one of them not pan out. Kate Winslet being an asterisk exception because of The Reader and Revolutionary Road.
That's why... Oh, sorry.
But it doesn't really count.
That's why I say beware of Trumbo.
I know. That's why it has to be taken seriously, and why...
It's a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
You're going to fall for it. It just won't win.
Yeah. That's why the supporting actress category needs to be scrutinized, too. And so let's actually take a look at the Screen Actors Guild nominees, because this could be the top 5 at Oscar as well. It's Rooney Mara and Carol, Rachel McAdams in Spotlight, who was the only nomination for that film, single or individual nomination. Helen Mirren in Trumbo, Alicia Vikander in The Danish Girl, and Kate Winslet in Steve Jobs. So you've got 2 people, Vikander and Mara, who are contenders for category fraud queen, and could very well end up one, both, or none as lead at the Oscars. I sincerely think that there is going to be a push for one of them by AMPAS voters in lead.
Yeah.
It seems like the push is already being made out to be Mara as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I lean towards too.
Yeah.
And to fill that void will be Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yes, exactly. So I think we're looking at something much closer to the Globe's top 5.
And then Lawrence will pull Big Amy Adams' Big Eyes, win the Globe, and then miss the Oscar. And replacing her will be Mara, possibly.
My God, the internet will explode if Jennifer Lawrence can't at least get the nomination, even though the movie itself is, tanking in its reviews and taking a big shit. So.
It's like slowly becoming another Big Eyes. It's crazy.
It is, and boy, that was... Joy has turned into my Unbroken this year, and I feel just miserable about it. I swear to God. I'm not, from now on, I'm not going to pick, an early favorite, ever again. I'm just going to see what happens when things start happening and then jump aboard.
There's a lot more precedents for having faith in Joy than Unbroken.
No, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. But... yeah,
I'm baffled that Joy is tanking like this.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. It surprised me so much. And speaking of it, Lawrence was not able to get a Screen Actors Guild nomination, and she was able to pull off a nomination for American Hustle at a very late breaking release and screener, just like Joy.
And just like Big Eyes.
Yeah. So
and the Adams missed, even with late-breaking screeners.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like, Lawrence is so vulnerable.
It is. I do too. I think I might even have her. No, I don't have her in 5th because I actually have Rooney Mara in my Oscar predictions in 5th, and I have Jennifer Lawrence in 4th. But yeah, she's shaky as hell.
If she misses Critics' Choice, just like Amy Adams did for Big Eyes, I'm just going to push that. where she's going to miss the Oscar.
Yeah, well, but then she'll come back at BAFTA.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll all have faith in her.
Again, this is all your fault, Chris. I'm putting the blame of anything that happens across the pond on you. So deal with it. All right. I think this. Then let's jump over to the Golden Globes because there is some crossover. There is, there's some craziness here too, but I think in a much better way. Because if we look at the motion picture nominees at the Globes, both in drama and in comedy, we have the crossover of Spotlight and The Big Short from the Screen Actors Guild, but that's it. Because the Globes is where Carol did extremely well. It got 6 nominations, which was the most of anybody. Wait, it was 6 or 5? Let me double check. 5. It got 5, which was the highest total. Mad Max got in, The Revenant, Room, over Brooklyn, which I'm not too upset about, I have to say. And then in the comedy side, along with The Big Short, was Joy, The Martian, Spy, and Trainwreck.
Yep.
And I was glad for the Spy nomination. That was pretty cool. And it was good to see some traditional comedies in there instead of the Martian and Joy mentions that barely kind of squeezed their eligibility with the Globes there. But it's still crazy to me that there was such a lack of crossover between the two, because normally, we'd be able to pull, out of 10 nominations, you'd be able to pull 4 or 5, and we have 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It seems like the Globes are sort of highlighting how irrelevant SAG-mand are being this year. It seems like more than any other year they've placed so much emphasis on these films that got their screenings out 4 months ago.
Absolutely. And, looking at the different sizes of these two bodies, and, it's important to acknowledge that one is an industry guild and the other is not. So it's not crazy, but it just is what it is. But the nominating committee from SAG is over 2,000 people, and for the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, it's 90. So you don't have to have, even though everyone got a lot of screeners, they didn't have to because they had so many screenings. And when you're only talking about 90 people, it's easier to get them to see a film.
Yeah.
So I think that represents a broader version of what's really happening, strangely enough. But you can't pretend that the industry level of SAG is not real. But I'm with you, Chris. I think this year SAG is going to look really out of touch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like Helen Mirren for Woman in Gold. Like, there's no defending that.
There isn't. That is an extraordinarily lazy nomination.
Yep.
I just don't get it. It's silly.
They're in their own little world. They're like not following that. Almost pretty trashed.
Yeah.
They really love Helen Mirren.
They do. They really do. And the Globes do too.
The Globes really, really love Alicia Vikander.
They really love Alicia Vikander, so much so that they gave her 2 goddamn nominations.
Yeah.
Ugh. But at least in this scenario, when both Focus and Weinstein said, "Hey, we would like our girls to be in supporting," the Globes said, "Nope, sorry, they're lead." And I love that. I love that they really kind of put their foot down with that. But, then they kind of shot it as well by allowing the Martian and Joy in comedy. That was pretty stupid. But I'm really glad that they went up against the category fraud attempts. And look what happened. It benefited both of them because they both landed lead nominations. So, how can you complain about that? Let me see. Oh, yes. Well, that opened up the supporting actress nominations because 2 of them were gone. And Jane Fonda showed up where she missed out in SAG, which is still totally insane to me that she missed.
I know, people were thinking she's like the front runner to win there.
Oh my God. I wrote in my whole preview, it's like, oh, of course Jane Fonda's going to get in because they love veterans that they can reward because they've only been around for 21 years. Because they do it all the time. That was, yeah.
But no one gives a shit about you.
Nobody cares about you, Hanoi Jane, when they have 10-time nominee Helen Mirren that they can put forth again. Ugh.
Just a little bit of screen time, I think, too. Just like her.
Yeah.
Just totally replaced.
Craziness.
Yeah.
And the Globes were a place that Jennifer Jason Leigh was nominated, which is really good. She didn't really have a chance with SAG because there were no screeners. So that was. I don't think anybody in their right mind could have expected a nomination there. So hopefully they did not predict that. But much easier in Globes because, like I said, all you need is a handful of people to see the screening and you're good.
Yep.
But so we have the crossover from Globe to SAG. not too much. It's just Helen Mirren and Kate Winslet. Oh my God, I misspelled Kate Winslet's name on the website.
With Vikander in lead.
Yes, because Vikander ended up in lead and got the nomination. But she is also in supporting for Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's fantastic. I would love to see her split her own votes for the Danish Girl and get in nowhere and make it in for Ex Machina. I think that would be awesome. I think actually has a good possible chance of happening at BFCA on Monday. But different conversation.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at supporting actor at the Globes and what that crossover was. It was a little bit better. Idris Elba, Mark Rylance, and Michael Shannon all showed up. And then this is where we saw Paul Dano in Love and Mercy and Sylvester Stallone in Creed. This was a really interesting nomination. His buzz came very late, but very, very loudly. And the Globes have not liked him. So it seemed almost like Screen Actors Guild would have been a better chance for him to get in, but nope, this is where he makes it.
You just have to wonder if the buzz wasn't there in time for SAG.
I think that's what the problem was.
Screeners were there pretty late, but I don't know. It was like kind of a borderline. It was going to happen or not. he could still possibly win. I don't know. I'm going back and forth.
I think he's the person that makes the most sense as a winner, but he could also just miss. So I don't really.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, no, it's true. In the couple of times that I've been on Jeff and Sasha's Oscar Poker, we've talked quite a bit about Warner Brothers and how they sunk their entire campaigns into Black Mass and avoided Creed and Mad Max, which were the films that were actually getting money and critics awards.
Yep.
And lo and behold, who missed out for a Golden Globe Best Actor Drama nomination? Who could that be that missed out?
Best Actor Frontrunner.
The Best Actor Frontrunner, according to some people, Johnny fucking Depp.
They're scared of the tourists. The tourist year.
Yes. It blows my mind, and it's awesome, and I'm so happy that he missed. Because they've nominated him for the worst garbage ever. And now when he has something that actually has some critical support behind it, they snub him. I love it. It made me so happy.
But it makes sense, kind of, because like the year prior, you had Jolie. They snubbed Unbroken entirely, which felt like a film they could have totally gone for. And then she also had Magnificent, and she missed in the comedy or musical category there. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they just have a huge bias over what happened, and they just won't even touch either of them.
No, I wrote about this either this week or last week. I do honestly think that they are trying to correct their image, which is pretty bad and has been pretty bad for a long time. But then they also still have ties with Sony that are as bad as they ever were. So they're still very much affected by the studios, whining and dining them. They still are. But I think, and speaking of Sony, that, is Will Smith's nomination for Concussion, which probably came at the expense of Johnny Depp getting in.
Yep.
But, then they just made a choice. They're like, who's nicer to us? Warner Brothers or Sony? And they obviously, want those Cancun trips again. So they picked Sony.
Yep.
So
they were nice enough to Warner Bros. In other places. So
exactly.
Depp, really.
Exactly. They gave Warner Brothers love for Mad Max and for Creed.
Yep. Just
like they should have, and completely snubbed Black Mass.
Exactly like NBR as well.
Yes, and NBR, my God, that was the biggest surprise, even bigger than the Globes.
Yeah.
So I think I can't imagine being an executive or an awards campaign person at Warner Brothers this year, between the amount of box office disasters that they've had. Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. And they have another one on their hands right now with In the Heart of the Sea. That's actually even performing worse than Pan. So, I mean, what do you do? What is a studio to do? They're going to have to fire like 5,000 people to cover their losses. Yeah. And, sinking money into the wrong awards campaigns. They're having a really, really bad year.
And it's all their own fault as well. They moved In the Heart of the Sea to December for no reason. They made Black Mass their sole push, and that's backfired. It's all stuff that they've done to themselves.
Yeah.
Someone's getting fired.
I certainly hope so. But yeah, it's been a very rough year for them. But I'm not going to cry or play any violins for that. So, what else happened in the supporting category with the Globes?
Well, Bale showed up in lead.
Yes, but even taking Bale out of the equation, again, right after the Screen Actors Guild, Michael Keaton and Mark Ruffalo did not make it in. Again. and it's insane. It's crazy. Even stranger was Mark Ruffalo making it in for Infinitely Polar Bear in the actor in a musical or comedy.
I got that.
Oh my god. You did?
Yeah, I predicted that.
Oh my
because
god.
it reminded me of The Guard, where you had Gleason making it. It was a summer comedy that the Globes didn't forget from Sony Pictures Classic. And I felt like they're kind of hot on Mark Ruffalo right now after his double nominations last year, and they wouldn't forget that performance.
That was a good call. That was definitely a good call, and because I think most of us that were doing or predicting for this had Bradley Cooper still making it in for Burnt.
Yeah, I refused to believe that, so I dropped it.
Yeah, and so we got Mark Ruffalo and Al Pacino and Danny Collins instead. So, which makes sense. And again, that was one of those, like, in the last couple of days leading up to the Golden Globe nominations, people were moving their stuff around and panicking as we do, and I saw a lot of Danny Collins votes in there, so that was a good call. What do we have? Is it even worth talking about the Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy? I think it is, so we'll have to talk about it.
I still think Lawrence is going to win.
Yeah, that's where Jennifer Lawrence finally showed up. Melissa McCarthy finally got nominated after years of them saying no to her. Amy Schumer in Trainwreck. And then dual Sony Pictures Classic ladies with Maggie Smith in Lady in the Band and Lily Tomlin in Grandma. So who do you think the race is really between?
Just Lawrence has it in the bag.
I feel like they're trying to make this like a Lawrence v. Schumer thing. But...
Yeah, again, Big Eyes 2.0.
God, you're gonna run with that.
Yeah,
I can see it. I can see it. Yeah, I think Lawrence has this pretty easily too.
They don't care. Like, she's already won 2 Globes. Looking for another.
No, they're not gonna care about that.
Yeah, Amy Adams won back to back, and that's why many of us didn't predict her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So then, do you think that Schumer or Lily Tomlin are her biggest threats?
Tomlin has no buzz at all, and Schumer everyone loves her right now. So I guess by default, Schumer. But
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and Trainwreck made Best Picture too. So yeah, definitely Schumer.
Yeah, I think so too.
I only just noticed Street Mist.
I know.
Yeah. That was. I mean, I had Streep predicted because she's had 29 nominations. They nominate her for fucking everything. But I mean, I guess it was just too much for them to even do.
They're finally respectable, the Globes.
God,
very respectable.
I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I don't either. I kind of like my Globes really messy, so that I can talk some shit about them. That's what I like. But oh well.
There's not one crazy nomination in the bunch anywhere. I mean, I guess Will Smith for Concussion, kinda.
No, I don't.
But like,
no,
I don't think it's crazy because a lot of people predicted him, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I just meant like the film's reviews are pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, so is The Danish Girl, and
not nearly as bad.
They're bad. So I know what you're trying to do there, Jason. But I mean, there were people even talking up The Danish Girl, making it into the top 5 of the motion picture drama.
I bet it was close. It pulled up 3 nominations, and they were pretty hot on the movie, and both Redmayne and Vikander. So I bet it was actually pretty close. I bet it was like the alternate, maybe even.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Steve Jobs did pretty well.
Yeah, it did. That especially getting that extra nomination for original score. That was a good get for that movie.
Definitely, those were like 6 and 7 in drama, maybe. And Brooklyn kind of tanked there.
Yep, and Bridge of Spies as well.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, well,
for a lot of people, not everyone.
Well, the Brooklyn thing was interesting because I had heard from some people that they were not that hot on Brooklyn. that it was okay. But then you'll talk to somebody like Feinberg or Tapley, who would say the same thing about Carol. So when you only hear something within your own little bubble, and certainly something that feeds into the narrative that you want to happen, that's what you're going to report. You're going to report the one person that said, I think Carol's kind of mediocre. And then you're going to run with it and say, oh, wow, Carol's going to be snubbed everywhere because this one person said it was shit. Same thing goes for Brooklyn or anything else that, deviates from the narrative that you want to push.
Yeah, and even though... Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And even though we were, horribly wrong with Joy, we were also so much more right about Carol than pretty much every pundit.
Absolutely, and I'm really stoked on that. And
Feinberger's just still dubious about it.
Oh my god, I don't know what's going on with Feinberg's predictions with Carol. They're so all over the map.
Yeah. What does he have it? Just director, and that's it?
It's like top 5 in director, but number 9 in picture and no screenplay.
Yeah, 9 has potentially missing. And I don't know, that's not going to happen.
It's like it's Foxcatcher 2.0, even though
it's not.
It's not.
And then The Big Short is number 3, but he has a missing screenplay. Oh.
If that movie's getting anything, if it even got a single nomination, that's the one it would get.
It's the front runner right now, in my opinion.
It's crazy that would be the setup, and it's strange because you can't look at each of these nominations in a vacuum. You have to look at them as a whole. And I think, not to pick on him exactly too much, but there isn't a lot of symmetry and things that make sense. Yes, there are weird snubs every year. That always happens. But you have to start from a place that's a little safer before you're predicting crazy snubs. I don't know. Again, this comes from the person that was Joy at number 1, all fucking year, so what the fuck do I know? But still, it's once we get to this level and this stage with, SAGs and Globes out and LA and New York and NBR, and that changes the race. And when you have things like Carol at 9 in picture and 5 in director, you need to look at your choices here, because that's a little silly. It's just a little silly.
Yep.
But anyway, enough about that. I don't even kind of want to talk about foreign language film with the Globes because it's such a different thing with eligibility. But it was obviously good to see Son of Saul and Mustang get in there. So that was cool. I do think though that their animated feature lineup could end up being the top 5.
Yep, that's what I've got at the moment.
Very much so.
If there's the 2 most vulnerable movies there is probably Peanuts movie. That kind of feels like how Simpsons movie got the Globe nom and missed the Oscar.
Yeah.
Right, same studio too, right? From Fox, I think. Yeah. And The Good Dinosaur is kind of has bad press right now because it's the first Pixar movie to flop. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think The Good Dinosaur is very much on the bubble now. I'm still pushing for The Prophet to get in because I just don't think that we're going to see such a Hollywood heavy lineup.
It's a horrible movie, but Salma Hayek is so passionate about it, you never know.
Oh, good. Then maybe she can do the nominations or something and then announce that. They'll bring just her out for that.
It's like her passion project.
That would be awesome. I love it. I always love... Oh, my God. I did this... I had took a little too much time on my hands one day, and I just rewatched nomination announcements from, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I swear it's just got to be the best. She's too much. She's so happy for any time any Mexican or Spanish or any... Oh, God, it was wonderful. I loved it. She was so excited.
I'm just not a fan of that movie. I saw it over a year ago.
Yeah, I have not seen it, so... We can look at original song a little bit because that Love and Mercy nomination for One Kind of Love did not make the cut for the Oscar eligibility list. And we could be looking at the old tried and true winning the Globe and not getting an Oscar nomination. I think it's very possible.
Yep.
But at least, you know, some of the ones in the past have qualified for the Oscar and still didn't make it in. One thing that's missing from this list, and intentionally so, was the Diane Warren penned "Till It Happens to You" from The Hunting Ground, because the Globes don't allow anything documentary in foreign film or animated or song or anything at all. But that seems like it's a pretty heavy favorite for Oscar nomination, so we could see that happen.
And then the original score category has potentially 2 scores that will be disqualified at the Academy Awards.
So you're talking about The Revenant, obviously.
And The Hateful Eight.
And The Hateful Eight. I don't know about The Hateful Eight. I think The Revenant is certainly in danger, and we should have that list pretty soon.
No, Variety, I think, said that The Hateful Eight will likely be disqualified because there was only 30 minutes of music recorded.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah.
That's bad for a 3-hour plus film.
Yeah, Tarantino just filled the rest with his own music.
And the Exorcist theme, I think, shows up somewhere.
If that's true, he's missing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Which benefits like a Howard Shore Spotlight.
Yeah, that starts building Spotlight's nomination tally.
Needs it.
Yeah.
It needs, you're absolutely right.
And Star Wars will come.
And Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Bridge of Spies is going to make a comeback because we all know they love that composer.
That's true.
Much more than the HFPA.
Yeah, that's so. Boy, I'm still so surprised at how poor of a showing Bridge of Spies did, but at least it helps me take it out like everywhere.
It will not miss score at the Oscars. That composer even made it for Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah, that's Thomas Newman, right?
Yeah.
Who's an 11-time nominee and 11-time loser.
I think he only made the Globes for score specifically once or twice before. Versus Academy Awards where, 11 times. So I think he's pretty in for the Academy.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm most excited about Carter Burwell and Carol because he's never been nominated. And he has some incredible scores, so I want that to happen.
I think he's kind of the front runner as well, isn't he? Especially if The Hateful Eight is disqualified.
And The Revenant.
Yeah.
That would I absolutely agree. Unless, Alexander Desplat's Danish Girl becomes a favorite, which it could happen. He just won last year. He could have a Gustavo Santaolalla.
I could see it easily missing at the Academy.
I don't know. I think it is too. It's so their kind of score.
It's also one of his weaker compositions.
I think the majority of the film, his score is pretty terrible, but the opening credits score is some of the best I heard all year. I think it's amazing.
It's just that one.
But it's that one tiny refrain, and then the rest is like gloopy garbage.
Yeah, exactly. I think the HFPA is more hot on him than even the Academy. So.
I don't know.
I think he has like a couple more Globe noms than he even won for that Naomi Watts movie.
Yeah, The Painted Veil. That was such a weird win. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No to that. No. All right. I think we need to talk about director, obviously, and the correlation with the motion picture nominations. Because this is where George Miller and Mad Max came through. Mm-hmm. And we need to talk about Mad Max. We need to talk about how realistic an Oscar push in top tier categories for this movie is. Because, everybody thinks that it's going to do great in, the sound and editing and all of that. It should be just fine. But I'm so hesitant. I'm so cautious still, even though I have it predicted top 5 in both. I'm just so nervous about it being actually embraced by the Academy, because it takes them so long to go outside to a genre that they have not embraced before. So I'm curious what you guys think about Mad Max as being a real contender.
It would have been really nice for it to be one of those random weird SAG ensemble noms, just to show that it's got like industry support. But I think there's real passion for it, but there's just no way of knowing before we see it show up at PGA, or I think it's probably a lock for DGA, but PGA it really needs to get in there. It's the best picture.
Certainly a passion vote.
You're leaving, Jason.
I think it has a fantastic shot at PGA.
Yep.
I'm not really. I don't know. I guess I'm not that worried about it, but that's what I mean. I'm like, okay, great. You've got your Globe noms. I think you're great for DGA. You're great for PGA, and then we're gonna get the Oscar nomination morning, and it's gonna be like, and here's the 4 tech nominations that it gets. I'm terrified of that happening, because we've seen it happen so many times with movies like this. I
think it should be. Hopefully, the expanded lineup means it's fine. Like,
yeah,
it's getting it,
but it's.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, if it's going to get into director, like, there should be passion for 5% of the people in the Academy to put it number 1 for Best Picture as well.
Yeah, and it really needs it. It's I wish they were just doing, what they did in 2009 and 2010, and doing a solid 10 nominations and listing 10 instead of this 5 thing. If you're going to do that, then just keep it at top 5 and don't do this. It could be 5 and it could be 10 bullshit. Why even do that? I think they did it just to fuck with Oscar predictors and drive us crazy.
Yeah, I think
it's just maniacal.
Yeah. I will say, I think if this is a major contender, and I know I don't really want to tease Jason by bringing up Star Wars, but if that comes out, and it's huge as well, like...
Oh my god. God damn it, Chris.
If that comes out and is huge, and Mad Max is a major player, like, do we have to start worrying about The Martian? Like, I'm not
so many I know! Like I said, exactly. I think that Martian could fizzle out, and it's potentially happening.
Yeah, even though it did... okay, here, the total snub at Screen Actors Guild for a movie that came out in October and everybody has seen and has made $200 million, which should have been the populist choice, did not happen. And I was shocked. I was totally shocked. Because, of course, because it's me... The Martian was my number 2 once Joy failed, and now look at it. Come on. What? How terrible do I have to be at this to stop doing it or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing that's been majorly affected is Damon. Like, if Damon was a factor in the actor race, he surely had to have got SAG.
Yes. Yeah.
Now he's borderline.
And now he's borderline, but it doesn't even really matter because before this happened, he would have been presumably the easiest fight against DiCaprio, and now DiCaprio really has none. He's got
out for Cranston.
Yep,
no,
I was about to say
that's not. But it's not real.
I think Cranston is number 2 because people are actually passionate about his movie, and Steve Jobs fizzled out, and Danish Girl no one really cares about. So Cranston's probably number 2 right now.
All right, I'm not disagreeing that he might be number 2.
But is he competition for him?
That's what I'm talking about. The difference between number 1 and number 2 is, it's like a Grand Canyon jump.
But what happens if Trumbo gets nominated for Best Picture, Screenplay, and just hits a bunch of categories? Would we have to worry about Cranston
I would,
upsetting?
I would freak the fuck out.
If Cranston won, would that be his ego? Would that be the whole thing?
Does he have a Grammy?
I don't know.
He does Broadway, right?
Narrative.
Oh my god. You're horrible. Why are you even talking about stuff like this?
Oh my god! Like Trumbo, like that's a winning role potentially.
I don't know.
On paper.
On paper, there you go. On paper.
If the Academy embraces the movie strongly, I guess you have to watch out for that upset.
They could just really not go for the Revenant. Like,
yeah.
Okay, now you guys are doing it on purpose, and I'm gonna need to take like blood pressure medicine or something because I'm freaking out. No, it's not. It's not happening. Leo's winning. There's no competition. Bryan Cranston is maybe getting nominated, and you both can fuck off. So that's where I'm at with that.
I think it's number 2, though.
No, I do think he's probably number 2 at this point because there are no passion votes outside of DiCaprio and maybe Cranston at this point. It's just kind of starting to look like who's going to fill in these 5. And you've got, Carell as a potential contender here. I hope not, because he's fucking horrible.
I don't even think he should be competing in lead, but I understand the campaign strategy.
No, I don't think he should be either. So today, or tonight, I should say, Michael Caine won the European Film Award for Best Actor. But that was pretty expected. It wasn't like, a big surprise. But he is doing a little bit of campaigning now. Do you think that we might be able to see him come back? Okay. No.
He's gone. He needed SAG or Globes to keep him in the conversation. And no one cares about youth anymore. If ever. No one ever did, I guess. But,
yeah.
It's crazy the amount of campaigning he's doing.
It's crazy. No veterans.
It is. It's
Cranston's like 65 now, isn't he? Like,
what? Is he really?
Yeah, he's really old. Yeah.
Okay, but you don't put him in the same kind of veteran status that you do Michael Caine and Ian McKellen.
Wait, did you say Cranston?
Cranston is not 65.
He's 59.
He's 59.
That's still wow, that's older than I thought. Wow. Okay, anyway.
I think McKellen can be sort of revived at BAFTA, but he probably needed SAG as well.
I think he needed SAG. I think he could have gotten it pretty easily. And, I mean, again, he's another candidate that had screeners out in time, and he's out everywhere doing all kinds. That was a pretty lousy miss on his part. Any shot you guys think for Michael B. Jordan?
No.
If Creed becomes a thing, or is it already kind of petering out and it's going to be Stallone and maybe Song?
I think Creed is kind of fizzling out a bit.
It seems like it was the quickest, but fastest burning Oscar buzz I've seen in a long time.
I just don't know his path to a nomination. Like, he would not get BAFTA, so I don't see him just randomly showing up with no precursors either.
It's the equivalent of thinking Miles Teller was in the conversation for Whiplash.
Yeah. And Whiplash was way stronger.
Almost, yeah, but Whiplash, was way stronger.
Okay, I wouldn't agree that it's quite the same as that, because I am looking at it in terms of an African American vote. I really am looking at a level of age and diversity within that lineup.
But I don't think they vote like that.
Okay, yeah. I do.
The only one that would have made sense was Sam Jackson, but I don't really see that happening either anymore.
No, I'm not sure that would happen either. And then that was also some wiggle room with what category he was going to be in, and that was just a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Should we be discounting Will Smith?
No, not entirely.
Not entirely. No, I think he's probably somewhere in the 6, 7, 8. I think that's the most realistic and reasonable. Looking at the Goldrich gang, only 2 people still have Johnny Depp. 2 people have Steve Carell. 1 person has Ian McKellen, but then everybody else is, DiCaprio, Redmayne, Fassbender, Damon, and Cranston.
I think I might be the third to switch to Carell, because I'm just not buying Damon anymore.
I don't buy Carell.
I don't buy Carell for 1 minute.
And I totally bought into it on paper. Like in the early bird, I predicted Carell, but once I saw the film, I just don't believe it. He's a quasi-lead, in my opinion, and they just gave it, and it was just a campaign strategy because he can technically qualify as the lead just by the amount of screen time and how he's like the emotional core of the film, the conscience. So
sort of,
yeah. I mean, that's how they could spin it to make him lead.
I just think if they buy the fraud and they actually believe he's lead, and The Big Short is a top 3 contender, which I think it could end up being, like, I think there's space for him in a category this week.
I think it made more sense with Foxcatcher because there was a longer period of time that was building to that, and even though he got that supporting nod at BAFTA, I don't think that really mattered so much. They bought into his lead campaign. It seems a little strange that they would do it again so quickly.
Definitely seems like this is even more of a supporting performance as well.
He doesn't even show up for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe Foxcatcher is a little more supporting, but they're both just so completely borderline.
Yeah.
Well, last time Carell kicked out Oyelowo and Gyllenhaal, like he's got not even close to that sort of competition this time.
The difference is Carell made it everywhere, and Carell didn't show up at SAG.
Yeah.
I feel like if he would have shown up anywhere, it would have been SAG, because they were very hot on The Big Short.
Well, he got the Globe nom, and it does seem like
that was so easy.
That was
easy.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I think The Big Short's buzz is like picking up right at this moment. Like,
I agree. I think the timing of it is really superb, but I do think that he needed that the SAG support, which he got before.
And the award strategists at Paramount didn't want to spin it like Spotlight smartly, because now they can get a Bale nomination.
Yep. Yeah, they're doing a much better job of that than Open Road did.
I just don't really know how to justify keeping Damon in when he missed SAG as well.
I know. It's killing me.
And what
you have to believe The Martian is a top 5 contender still.
I don't.
But I do. I mean, I do.
If you do, then Damon will probably end up getting in my opinion.
It's so crazy to think, we keep going back and forth between, actually, director, we should talk a little bit more about too, and just the correlation, because I'm looking at mine, and I've got George Miller and Ridley Scott in there, so there's these huge genre movies that I have in my top 5 in both picture and director, and you have the same top 5 that I do, Jason, and so do you.
So do I,
Chris. We have different order, but we all have the same top 5.
I have Adam McKay a very close 6 now.
I know. Who's the most vulnerable in director right now?
I have Ridley Scott the most vulnerable.
You think that's who McKay would replace?
Wow.
That could happen.
I think McCarthy, Iñárritu, Haynes, Miller's really solid. I think The Martian can fizzle.
I mean, the conversation from next week until beyond will be Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Who's going to be? Why would anyone really talk about The Martian besides, I guess, Guild nominations?
But I don't feel like any conversation around Star Wars is going to be anything outside of its box office, and I just don't see it coming anywhere near top tier categories.
Yeah. What happens? It's like critically acclaimed.
I don't care if it has a 100 on Metacritic, and it makes $800 million. I don't care.
It would be taken seriously.
If it has anything above an 85 on Metacritic, we have to start talking about it in like Best Picture.
You can start talking about it in Best Picture.
You will have pundits throwing it out there if that happens.
Good luck with that, then.
Gregory Elwood is like ready to jump on that. He's teasing
Christ.
at it, and he'll start making posts about it if that happens. I can picture it.
Oh my God. Yeah, talk about I've heard this person say, you got to be careful.
Didn't Feinberg weirdly have like J.J. Abrams as a lone director nom?
Yes, he did.
I'm saying you have these pundits who are like ready to jump on that if that happens, if it's universally acclaimed.
But I'll give Elwood credit for jumping on the Mad Max train way, way, way early. I haven't seen his predictions recently, but months ago, he was already floating that this is something that could really happen, and that was like before the Frepresky. He did I think he was making a much more realistic and balanced look at its chances than a lot of people were. So,
yeah,
for what it's worth.
Do you think Miller can win?
No.
Win the Oscar? No.
I think McCarthy has it.
I don't think it's going to be a split year, so...
No. I made that mistake last year.
I'm really wondering about Spotlight at this point. Like, I'm looking at what I'm predicting it for, and I've got it as 4 nominations at the moment.
I know, and I saw that in the forums, and then you've got to look at Rachel McAdams as a very, very likely, like, lone acting nomination.
Yeah. I remember thinking last year of Boyhood, like, the lack of tech support, the fact that its max haul was probably 6 noms was sort of holding it back, and then it missed PGA, the win at PGA, and then Birdman flew off from there. I think it seems like something similar could happen.
Yeah. Well, this...
there's no support, like, there's no passion for the acting, there's no support for the text anywhere, like, it's picture, director,
score, editing,
yeah.
And maybe it could pop up in a sound category. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Maybe didn't Argo do both?
Yeah, but Argo has action scenes.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
This has like people running down a street away from, angry Bostonians, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But no, something I often come back to when I start getting a little crazy with my predictions is Ann Thompson saying that, Best Picture is built and created around all of these individual nominations and groups. And I think that counts for the winner, too, and explains why Boyhood was not able to end up as the Best Picture winner. Because Birdman had the support of actors, directors, sound, visual effects. I mean, it had the tech support to push it all the way. And something like Boyhood was not going to have that. Because there's no room for good sound guys, visual effects guys, I mean guys in a general way, men and women, costumers, production designers, all of that for a movie like Boyhood or for a movie like Spotlight. So you're going to find things that have the support of a broader text or context of AMPUS and each of those individual groups. I don't know.
And whatever you want to say about Spotlight being, it's a true ensemble. Like, there's no passion for any of the individual performances, or they would have showed up. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Oof. Yes.
I think the last time, like, Crash got 6 nominations and won, and then the last time before that, it was Ordinary Man in 1980 was 6. Like, nothing below that, I don't think, has ever happened.
Yeah. Great, let's talk about Crash again, please. As an example of doing something right. No. Anyway, all right.
Ordinary People, sorry.
Ordinary People, yes. Well, I mean, I'm always, like, going to keep saying how happy I am now that we can drop the Ordinary People statistic from, like, every conversation going forward, and now it's the, Birdman. I love it. And obviously what I'm talking about is missing the film editing nomination. Yep. Because up to last year, you could never win Best Picture without having a film editing nomination. And people always pointed to Brokeback Mountain as one of its, reasons for losing, which, whatever. And so now that is broken, and we can just look at Birdman from now on. But anyway, enough about that. Let's see. Okay, like I said, we all have the same top 5 in director for our Oscar predictions, but different categories. But we do all have, if I'm looking correctly, we do all have Tom McCarthy as our number 1. I have Inarritu at number 3. Chris, you have him at number 4. Jason, you have him at number 2.
I think he's in. Like, I just think it's a really solid top 4.
You guys have not seen The Revenant, correct?
No.
Okay. So as the only one that has, I think if there was ever a situation where somebody could win Best Picture and Director the year before and come back roaring strong, that this is that situation. Because the technical difficulties of the film so far surpass anything that he did in Birdman that it's going to be just too irresistible to pass up. So
Yep, that's why he's safely in.
he is so safe. He is so safe. And weirdly enough, if there was going to be a split and say Spotlight won, I think Inarritu would be ahead of George Miller, honestly. In that, I don't know, maybe.
I just think Mad Max is such a director's achievement. Like, it
Yep.
would make sense in a split. Like, especially if Mad Max is strong and it does hit Best Picture and it is sweeping the text. Like,
That's what I'm hoping for. I would love that. I mean,
Yeah.
I want Carol to do very well, too. But
yeah, I should probably put Inarritu higher because at least Haynes can potentially miss DGA, but I still think he's in.
I don't know. I don't think he's. I'm not. I think if anyone misses DGA, it would be Haynes.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, it feels like the type of
Yeah, so
voting group that wouldn't go for Carol, just like how SAG wouldn't nominate Carol in an ensemble.
okay. But so then let's jump on that. And who do you guys think are the DGA top 5?
oh,
I would go McCarthy, Inarritu, Scott, McKay, and Miller.
yeah.
So, okay.
I have a really hard time seeing the Globes match with the DGA matching with the Oscars, so I can see McKay showing up and potentially Haynes missing.
So now thinking of it like that and looking at everything side by side, that's a really good point. And it would be very strange to see director go 5 for 5 in Globes, DJ, and the Oscars. I think that's virtually impossible. So it does almost seem like Haynes would be the odd man out, but
Yeah.
It would remind me of like Nebraska, how that didn't make SAG Ensemble, it didn't make DGA, but then it showed up at the Oscars at the expense of, who was it? I forgot who.
true, but that
I also just think that this is Todd Haynes' year, though. Like, I think Carol's going to be just super strong everywhere, and I can't.
Yeah,
I think so too. But I mean, what about like Lenny Abramson? Does he seem like he could be a director's pick but not make the Oscars, or the other way around?
I could see him
It would make
maybe
sense
showing up
as-
at the BAFTA. Oh, go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it would make sense as a similar thing to Giselle. I just don't think there's room for him this year.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at how a top 5 looks, and that you've got, The Revenant, The Martian, and Mad Max are these huge action-y genre movies, and you have to have some balance in there, which you get from Spotlight, you would get from Carol, you would sort of get to a lesser extent with The Big Short, but Room fits that category. Even Brooklyn fits that category.
If Room or Brooklyn would have made SAG Ensemble, I'd feel better about it. I just feel like Guild Strength will show soon, but like I was comparing this year's ensemble nominations to 2007, and that related with two nominations in ensemble related with two of the directors from those films made DGA. You had Sean Penn for Into the Wild, which obviously didn't pan out at the Oscars, but
Yeah.
I still feel like you'll get two of those films making DGA, which would be The Big Short and Spotlight.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
And I
that's a
guess-
good comparison here. I agree.
Yeah.
Even if McKay doesn't happen at the Oscars, I think he'll probably happen at DGA if it keeps up.
And I'm more confident in Scott at DGA than the Oscars, but could he miss? Like,
I don't know. It's
I wouldn't go there yet.
yeah, no, neither would I.
Scott and Miller both have interesting veteran narratives, but coming at it from a different, way. Miller obviously never being. I mean, he's got Babe. Scott came in with such a stronger, this guy's never won narrative, but then the floppage at SAG really kind of took the wind out of that.
Yep.
If I put a shot in the dark, I'd say McCain makes DGA and then Haynes replaces him at the Oscars.
All right, I might be able to see that.
Yeah.
I might be able to see that. I'm trying to remember, and I'm just going to look it up. Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Maybe the directors, like the guild at the Academy. I mean, not the guild. The branch will respect McKay enough to nominate him. I feel like he'll be more vulnerable than anyone.
I'm going to look. Yeah, Haynes has never been nominated by the Directors Guild.
Yeah, but Carol's a much bigger deal than Farfan.
Yeah, but no, but I mean, not even for Mildred Pierce. My God.
What?
Oh, in TV. Yeah, mini.
Wow.
Goodness gracious. Because, I mean, the DGA is television as well, voters.
Yeah.
So that's why you get sometimes some people that are TV-heavy directors can get in.
I think there's just going to be a crazy snub at DGA. Like, there's 6 contenders I have that all make a lot of sense for 5 spots.
Oh, there's going to be crazy snubs at each one of these that we get to. It's going to be like, what? That's impossible. How did that happen? Oh, because there's only 5 spots. That's how.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is messy.
Watch out for Jay Roach as well.
Shut up, God, again. You guys are never coming back, I swear. Why don't you just say Danny Boyle is in, for Christ's sake? Just end it right there. What a mess.
They love Hollywood stories.
I know.
Trumbo would be our best picture winner if it was actually a great film.
Oh my God, I'm almost ready to hang up on you.
He probably even got a TV DGA nom for Game Changer.
He won twice, right?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, see? Then Roach could be like a weird left field surprise DGA nominee because of his TV background.
And Trumbo is essentially a TV movie, so...
Yeah, well, there you go. That too. Oh my God.
Trumbo's top 5 now.
That is... Well, I don't want to get too, reactionary with these.
No. Yeah.
But it is, it's you also have to look at the validity of what it got this week. It can't be underestimated. And I'm not going to underestimate that, but it's also everything's in a bubble until it's not. Until we're at the day of Oscar nominations, and I'm sitting there at 5:30 in the morning with my mouth on the floor because Trumbo got 10 nominations, and I'm throwing myself off a bridge. So,
Oh my God, they could probably even get some below the lines costumes, right? Because it's a period film.
I hate you so much. You're the worst person in the world. I almost want Brooklyn to get in over Trumbo now at this point. God.
The funny thing is, I can't even see myself ever watching Trumbo.
I know. It was the only film in Toronto that's a major contender that I didn't see.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm trying to get a screener from Bleecker Street. Ugh.
I can just see Cranston being awful as well.
Every clip that I've seen of him has been absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the worst I've seen. It's horrible. It's horrible. His accent, his body, his everything he's doing is just hideous.
But everyone loves him, the actor.
I know. And I love him. I think he's great, but
we got a Bryan Cranston episode over DiCaprio. That'd be amazing.
That would be
watch. Yeah,
that would be really, really messed up. But think of how many new memes that we could have. Goodness.
Yeah.
You could have like Bryan Cranston dressed in like a bear costume and just mauling Leo to death. Goodness gracious. All right. I think we're gonna wrap. I don't really think we need to talk about the BFCA nominations are coming out on Monday. Maybe we can talk about that next week. Because, it is what it is. It's going to be interesting to see if they, keep doing their let's try and predict the Oscars type of nominations. I got into a little bit of a Twitter fight with one of their voters this week who just was so happy to proclaim how good they are as an Oscar barometer. And my question was like, okay, well, are you a predictor with your nominations, or are you, predicting what you want to actually get in? So, we'll see. Yes.
One thing I'd like to bring up that we didn't talk about,
okay.
What do you think is going on with Bridge of Spies?
Apparently nothing.
Do you think it's, out of the conversation now?
It's so weird to think a Spielberg film that's really well received and got decent box office is just out of the conversation.
The Globes are huge Spielberg apologists, and they didn't go for it at all.
Yeah, no, I'm completely kind of beside myself on that, because I was thinking, okay, is it going to play like Munich, or is it going to play like Warhorse? What's going on?
It's crazy,
and it's neither.
There's no passion for it.
There's passion for Mark Rylance, and that is it. That's
why Rylance won't win, because no one cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. People are like, oh, but of course the theater community will totally vote him for a win. I'm like, really? You mean all the ones that are in AMPUS? That theater community? Come on, you dipshits. Stop. That doesn't make any sense at all. They're like, but I want to hear his crazy speeches like he gives at the Tonys. I'm like, then just watch them on YouTube. Because, no.
The box office ended at $68 million, so it wasn't even that big of a performer overall.
I'm just
so weird.
It's so weird, and having it at New York Film Festival was kind of weird, but I don't know.
Disney cannot run proper Oscar campaigns.
No, not at all. They are probably the worst.
I probably should read the signs on Inside Out as well.
Yeah.
They can't do one campaign, let alone two.
Which is why The Good Dinosaur is probably going to fail.
Yeah.
Because, everything about that is mediocre box office and less than Inside Out reviews. So it's like, there was no need to even have it. So, I don't know. Oh, okay. So BFCA nominations are next week. We'll talk about them at some point. Unless there is anything more that you guys have to say about the Globes or SAGs or Trumbo. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So that's going to wrap this podcast. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Jason, so much.
Thanks.
Don't forget to check out awardswatch.com and follow us at Twitter at awards_watch and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Podcasts are on YouTube now. They show up usually like a day after they do on the website and iTunes, but they are on YouTube now, and that's really cool. But yes, until next time, folks, thank you so much for listening. And again, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.